is Cam. I'm the owner here at C&K Archery, and for the past almost 7 years, I've been building strings, both for compound and traditional bows. One of the biggest questions we get is why you're going to want an aftermarket string. The biggest reason that I think you need an aftermarket string is that bow companies in general think of the string as just a component to the bow. Whereas people who build aftermarket strings really look and focus on the details that make a string better. And whether you're looking at a custom string from Summit Strings, which is what I build, or gas bow strings, Rogue, 60X, all of these companies have kind of a secret sauce that makes their string better. In this series, I want to go over what I think makes a string really good for everybody, from a target archer to a compound archer or a traditional archer, but not just that, but how they're made. I think there's a lot of questions in the market on what that is. And for here, we're going to start showing you a little bit behind the scenes on what we do that makes a high quality string. Some of the things that we look at are not just making them look pretty. Like, as you can see, this is a really pretty string, really bright and vivid. But more importantly, why we use certain types of material to build with, how we put them on, how we stretch the strings to a certain degree. So follow along with us on this series so that you can see what actually makes a quality string and what makes it last more than what you would see in a stock string. So for the past 5 to 7 years, I've been building strings at my house. And recently we decided to start bringing this in-house here in the shop so that the staff can help build strings, but also so we can show our customers what goes in to what they're paying for. We just recently brought in and had a brand new table built. And to start this series, I wanted to talk about what type of tools it really takes. On a small scale, you can start thinking about, if I build 10 strings, I'm really going to cover the cost for the most part on all of this equipment. Now, over time, you can start developing and buying more equipment to make it more efficient and better. But at the end of the day, when you start looking at it, the table is what starts. And the reason that is you have to have unistrut bolted into a basic table, but it also needs to support a lot of tension being put. So in this table, it looks pretty basic, but on the underneath, we've supported it so that there's a lot of bracing. And the reason that is this unistrut will hold tensioners to tension your string. And at most, one of these unistruts at any given time could have up to 400 pounds of tension on it. And since in hours, we could have up to 3 stretchers on it, that's 1,200 pounds at any given time could be applied to it. So when you're starting to get into string building, the core of what you're doing is building a table that can support up to 1,200 pounds of tension. And if you look at the way we've kind of built this, it's pretty basic, but what you don't see is all the underneath bracing. We've gone in and we've lagged this every 6 to 8 inches along here in each one of these 3. And that will give you enough strength so that when I am tensioning multiple strings and cables on it, that the table won't want to fold, or you're not going to create bends in your unistrut. Stop. So when we're looking at the actual tools that build our strings, at the core beyond our table, we need to start looking at how we actually lay up or build the actual dimensions of a string, and then how we stretch it. For that, I highly recommend going to Baker Archery Supplies, which makes some really great products. And they originally started out making this type of equipment, the green pieces. In here, you have a few different towers for building different components in each stage of the string building process. So in here, we have an end piece right here. And then that connects many times to our spinner and our tensioner, our initial tensioner. So what we typically will start with is laying up the string, and then we'll use these 2 pieces to add the twist rate to the string And then more importantly, once this is locked down and we have strings, we can wind this up and add tension to it. This particular style of equipment can tension up to 400 pounds. We use this in addition to this piece down here, which is an air stretcher, so that we can add tension to the string and pull some of the elongation that happens in the materials. So throughout the series, you'll see why that's important, but I tend to find that these pieces of equipment are simple to use, but also very robust and resilient, meaning that these pieces of equipment will last you for thousands upon thousands of equipment with very little, if any, maintenance. In addition to that, we have a few couple pieces in the center here, and this is how we build the actual length. We build in what's called an endless loop type of construction, and I like using a 4-post over a 2-post system. Some places will use a 2-post, which has a little bit different of a style of build. I like using a 4-post, and we'll see in this series why I like to use it, but it allows me to create more robust end loops, which then gives you longer longevity. This 4-post right here is able to scale in and out based on the size or length of string that you need to build. And then I'm able to add my center serving in the center. You're able to also build the same thing just on a 2-post by using just these 2 pieces. So if you're at an at-home shop and you want to save some cost, these 2 pieces are the only 2 pieces you actually need. But if you were to go to Baker Archery and look at the products that they offer, you can buy entire shop kits or you can just buy individual pieces. If I were an at-home guy wanting to just make a string for myself and my buddies, I would literally get 1 piece of unistrut, a table, and these 2 pieces. So outside of just the actual tools that make the products, you have some small tools that you're going to need throughout the process. Over time, you can start with the smallest number of pieces and then continue to add, but these are kind of the core of what I think you need to be able to make a high quality string. First off, starting with a good tape measure. I tend to like this one because it has a point on the bottom where I can actually hold it into place. Baker Archery also makes a piece that will help for using their equipment and taping onto the end so that you can create really quick and easy, accurate pieces from grabbing onto the ends of theirs. So I'm a big fan of that little piece from Baker Archery, but you're going to need a quality tape measure so you know that you're making accurate links on your strings. You can use an X-Acto knife. I've used this one. You can kind of see that it has wax from strings. It's made thousands and thousands of strings, but I like just a basic knife that's really sharp so that I can cut material close without having to saw on it. The more you're sawing into material to get it to cut, the better the chance of cutting a string or serving. You just need a regular Bic lighter. Today we have a skull lighter, but we have thousands of them around the shop. Just a regular Bic lighter so that you can burn ends. And then you're going to go online and you're going to look at a bunch of different serving jigs. This is an OMP. I'm a big fan of this one. This one goes to an outer limit serving tool, which I'll show you in just a minute. This one has prongs so that I can speedily put long links of serving on. This is one of those like nice to have pieces. You don't have to have something, especially if you're an at-home builder. You can just hand serve with something like this or a bear paw like this. A lot of people really like this serving jig because it's really easy, it spins things on easily, and it's got a nice range so your hand can actually hand spin it. I use a bunch of different types of serving jigs, and I've tried most of them. Certain ones I like for certain pieces on it, and I'll go over that as we go through the series of actually laying up and serving in strings. But you can just get one of these and continually change the different types of serving. I intentionally have different dimensions and different products of serving lined up in different types because over the years I've just found what I like to use. There's nothing wrong with any serving. You can get a boning serving jig for like $12 and you can spend up to like $60 on a serving jig. Find one and get started, and then over time you can just add to the products. As you continue to go, having at least one set of pliers so that you can pull on strings, because string material and serving material can sometimes cut into fingers. So I like to be able to lightly use these to grip onto. I think it's important to always have at least one hook so that you can use that in the style of serving that I do. It makes your life easier, especially if you have sausage fingers like myself. You can't really get certain angles on things. And then lastly, as far as hand tools go, I really think that having a specific tool, whether it's an Easton tool, this is a Carbon Express tool, this is an OMP Viper tool, these are all used for adding speed knocks or speed knock packs to the actual main string. So I'm a big fan personally of this Carbon Express one. This one works really great for single packs. And then as we continue going down, we have a couple power tools that we use. I use a DeWalt 12 volt brushless in conjunction with the Outer Limit serving tool. I'll go into why I like using this serving tool over some of the more expensive pieces, but this is about $250, $260 for this in a jig. This is worth its weight in gold. But if you're trying to get into this as inexpensively as possible, it's a nice to have. When you start building more than 10, 15 strings, every 2 months, this thing will save you so much time. And if you're looking to try to start making money on it, from a time standpoint, this will save your life. Other serving jigs, serving tools like this that use serving jigs can go all the way up to like $3,000, $4,000. So unless you're like a commercial builder, those $2,000 to $3,000 pieces of equipment may not be the right fit for you. Whereas I feel that this does as good of work for a fraction of the cost. And then lastly, when we put heat shrink over our our knock points, it's important to be able to use something that gives consistent heat to be able to shrink that heat shrink on. And as you see us building our strings, you'll be able to see when we put those on the main string, what that looks like. Okay, and lastly, the things that you're going to need to build a high quality string are going to be actual pieces to put different types of speed knocks on. If you look, this is our traditional single speed knock. You've probably seen these as knock points, as kisser buttons, a lot of different things. So you can buy large packs of these pretty inexpensively. Or as you're building even higher quality ones, you can get these packs where it's 2, 3s, 4s, 5, 6s, especially if you're looking at some of the older Hoyts that have like 10 speed knocks in one position. These make more consistency to your speed knocks. And if you're looking for more information on these higher end pieces, feel free to leave a comment down below and we'll reach out to you with where you can buy these. Now, in addition to these, you're going to need some heat shrink. Now, we are a shop, we build our own. We get ours custom built with our logos on them. You don't have to do this. You can just go to a hardware store or a parts store and get regular heat shrink, cut it to length, pull it on, and heat shrink it on. However, if you're looking for that more classy look, that higher end look, reach out to us and we're happy to let you know where you can have these printed for you with your own logo. And then lastly, the big thing you need to think about is what material you're going to build out of. And as much as arrows and broadheads are probably extremely debatable, there are a lot of different materials on the market and they have a lot of different applications. So I carry a few different materials that over the years I personally like to use. And over the process of this series, I'll tell you why I like individual pieces. But for the most part, you're going to need different sizes of serving material. As you can see, I predominantly build with BCY, Halo, and Power Grip. And we'll tell you why we use each individual piece as we're building these strings. But more importantly, it's the core of your build. Why do I build with like a B55 for traditional? Or why do I build with an 8125? Or why do I build with a 452 extra? Those are all based on what you want, the type of performance you want out of it, the consistency of the performance. There's a lot of really great materials, but I really rely on BCY fibers. There's also some really great material. Bloodline makes a really great material. But because I have built thousands of strings at this point, and I have tested a lot of the materials, I have created a process that works for me and the performance I look for. And for that, I just really like what I get out of BCY fibers. Now, if you have questions on any of the other materials in the market, I'm happy to explain them, happy to tell you why I choose those. Feel free to leave a comment, shoot us an email, even call us up here at the shop. We're happy to go over anything and everything you want to know about string building. And as you get started in this process, one of the things you need to understand is it's a process. You're going to come into problems that you may not understand. And for that, feel free to call us, send us a DM, do whatever system makes sense for you to call us. We'll go through, hey, what are you building with? Why is it doing this? There's a lot of little details that you learn from just building tons and tons of strings over the years. So thanks for joining us today on our first installment of our string building series. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, but please stay tuned for all the details beyond just the tools we talked about today. We're going to show you everything from basic layups all the way up to some of the more complicated layups like Matthews strings, prime strings. So follow along and let us know if you have any questions.